I've seen more circumstances where community demand services, but nothing comes back down.
Right.
And I dealt with a lot of governments where, it's no matter of throwing of money or incentives or anything, they just don't do it, right? So that loop of accountability you were talking about, Amy and Rebecca, was really about how do we get that going. And we think one way of doing that, at least in the Afghanistan context, is being able to show in real time a dashboard that says, look, here, here, and here, they're not getting water. Here, here, and here, even though the Minister of Education has the budget, says they have the budget, but guess what? The kids are not getting into school. Okay, so to be able to show that information transparently in a real-time way, I think would really help, take advantage of technology and the interconnectivity that does exist in these countries, as well as kind of help with this accountability loop that we're trying to build.
Great.
We had a couple of interesting projects in America Solidaria. One of our Latin American fellows serving in the US actually served with the Mozilla Foundation out of New York, and they're doing some really interesting work on digital literacy. Because when you think about some of these communities, you don't necessarily think about digital inclusion, and they're working on digital inclusion from two angles, right? One of which is helping people improve their digital literacy, and then also helping keep the internet an inclusive place for all through lobbying and advocacy. That sort of two-sided model that I was also talking about earlier. So that was a fun project led by one of our Colombian volunteers, Carolina Tejada. And then we also have an interesting project going on right now, led by an Argentinian fellow named Santiago. And he's helping the American Red Cross develop an app for disaster relief. And that's taking advantage of the fact that in many communities, they may not even have had a sort of standard telephone service, but there's this real saturation of cell phone technology. A lot of people have smartphones, so they're taking advantage of the fact that people could download an app that would allow them to report kind of real-time status updates from all these kind of community levels, but also serve as a clearinghouse of information, where to get resources. You can get alerts delivered to you as to the current status of the crisis.
Great. Okay, I'm going to switch to our last question here. So what can NGOs do to help more countries adopt this approach? Anyone can play.
I think good communication, good relationship, stakeholder building with national level governments is important. I cannot imagine being in a country without working at all levels of government. It's just how we need to be working. So it's about sharing data. It's about bringing national level government folks at different institutes, and there's all kinds of institutes that touch our work, different ministries that touch our work, having different kind of working groups around whether it's agricultural research, whether it's use of technology, having different conversations happening throughout, consultation processes, just really open and transparent data sharing, results sharing, doing forums, just all of the things that we all do to try to keep that information flowing is really important. And I think more and more, as bilateral agendas are being formed and projects are being funded and this and that, it's just, it's kind of unheard of these days to have donors develop funding streams without national level government input, and I think that just needs to carry down all the way from local community, civil society, all the way. So we play an important role in bridging those communications. We play an important role in creating the forums, the fora to discuss those things, and we have an important role in communicating out the results of our monitoring, evaluation, and learning frameworks.
I think I would just speak to a point that Susan essentially raised, which is that governments are seeking to learn from NGO experiences. They're open to learning what has worked and what hasn't. And so something that NGOs can contribute is this perspective, especially multinational NGOs. They have this perspective of working across a variety of environments, techniques that might have worked, maybe cookie-cutter techniques that worked in one place and didn't work in other places, And so I think that national level governments can sometimes be very receptive to learning from multinational NGOs And I know that that's been our experience with the Chilean government, with America Solidaria, for example. It's something that they were actively seeking out. It's why they really started opening up some of these channels and spaces for consultation, because they realized that there's this body of knowledge that they could really draw from. I think that it's important to approach this knowledge sharing from a basis of integrity. I think that as long as NGOs maintain their integrity, their accountability, their transparency, there's a lot that can be done in terms of sharing knowledge.
So is there anything to add?
No, I very much agree with Amy and Rebecca was saying. I mean, from the bank's point of view, what we try to be is share information across. I mean, almost every week I'm being asked by a government to say what other global practices are out there. What can we learn from, what Brazil is doing or what China is doing or other countries? And what they want to do is say, okay, what are the lessons from these different countries? And then how do we then adapt those global lessons to our local context? Okay, so to the extent that we can be kind of conveners of that knowledge to make sure things go across. And in most of these, actually, at least at the country level, we've always invited NGOs to these forums. Okay, so it's also local governments, national governments, as well as NGOs. And just to have you share your experiences at scale, okay, and with good result stories, I think really helps sell the story. I think that's the best thing, is that people want to hear these real examples of what has worked in other places and why they worked, and what you learn from them.
And Amy had one more point.
Yeah, I think we need to challenge ourselves a little bit here. I think that as we look at our context right now, or the context in which we're operating as an NGO community, we look at our role, we look at shrinking national budgets, foreign assistance budgets, we look at all of the different actors at the table, and I really think we need to start thinking about, what is our role? What's our role as the NGO community, and do we need to be really shifting away from our current role, from direct services, direct implementation, direct staffing up our teams, to shifting to national, local, regional, and national level platforms, creating those platforms like the citizen working group, like the mother-to-mother groups, like the private sector networks, all of these different platforms that countries have. How do we start to shift our role from direct implementers to facilitate? Some of you already do that. You only work through, the person who asked the question before only works through local partners. But even those partners are sometimes very sort of isolated, working on their own. How do we shift our role and start investing more as facilitators, mentors, trainers, partners, to start shifting away from direct implementation?
Great. Also, I want to mention there are people in every government who do care about this. We need to find them. Local government ministries often feel very marginalized, very put upon, very jealous of the defense budgets, things like this. So there are champions within those governments that we can team up with, that we found. Let me make a short ad for all those who are here for the whole forum. We have, as a movement, we have a booth that you can come and visit us. We have a website, communityleddev.org, and we have for members, we have regular webinars. We're having one on Wednesday morning, the 28th, on community foundations, a whole part of the development infrastructure that is pretty new on the scene, but the head of the Global Fund for Community Foundations will be speaking to us all. So this is a very exciting, very, I would say, growing thing in the world that I hope you will all be part of. There are other member organizations here in the room of this movement. So please come by and visit us and find out how we can exploit your genius, your leadership, your passions to make this happen. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for our panelists. And everybody have a great forum. Thank you. Oh, can I make an announcement?
Go ahead, make it.
You make the announcement.
Hello. So if you haven't signed your name on the attendance sheet, please do before leaving. And thank you so much.
And please don't forget to use your app to do the evaluation of this session, please. Thank you so much.
That's right, you can evaluate us with the touch of a button. Yeah.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Through technology.
Thank you for the
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
John. I didn't know what that is.
Hi, great to see you, Jen.